Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Social Success Factor, where we bring you some of the best and brightest minds in the world of sales worldwide. And today, I'm very pleased to bring to you Jelle Dunnen from Netherlands. Jelle, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here. So, Jelle, you are at a very well-known company, a software company called Bullhorn, and Bullhorn is the
Yes.
premier provider of recruiting software solutions. Am I right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. So you reached out to me. We decided to connect for this interview because you had some pretty awesome success using social media. And I think awesome would probably be an understatement in your case. So why don't you walk us through some of the quick wins that you've seen using social media in your daily sales world?
Yeah, sure. So I started using social selling quite early in my experience in my life, actually. I started at the age of 15 when I was still organizing local parties, and I knew that by expanding my reach, by using a tool for that, I would be able to, achieve more. So by then, of course, we didn't have social media like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or whatsoever. But we did have MSN Messenger, so I had like a couple of lists and then just using that to leverage networks. Um, when I stepped into recruitment, at a certain point, you started using social as part of your daily job. However, I was a bit ahead of the curve because in 2009 I did got an official warning for using LinkedIn on my day-to-day business.
You got a
Um,
warning from an employer for using LinkedIn at work.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
today it's required for everyone to have LinkedIn in that same company, but
Wow.
sometimes you're a bit ahead of the curve. But I've always looked at social as a great tool to start leveraging relationships, starting that network. But most important, what I think is that social media is a tool to start building relationships. However, social selling goes much further than that because it starts with social media because it's a very easy way to connect with people because you can talk about any kind of subject. However, you have to set the first step into a relationship on social media, but you have to be social through the rest of your cycle with them in pre-sales and after sales.
Very well said. Yeah. So, in that kind of quest for being social throughout the sales cycle, what are some of the things that you're doing that you can recommend for the salespeople watching this?
Yeah, so what I think that's very important is that people want to buy from people. So always show something of yourself. Be a person on the web. So make sure that people can identify themselves with you or that you share information that they find interesting. So personally, I always think that you should have about 5 points that people should know about you on social media. Two of them should be related to your job, so they know exactly where they can call you for, what do you do and what do you specialize in, and three things that are, saying something about you, who you are as a person. What are the things that you do in your spare time? Because
Essentially, sorry to interrupt, but you're trying to achieve the humanizing factor. You want to be able to make
yes,
yourself just be a regular person that they can relate to.
absolutely, absolutely. Because in sales, everyone can be a good salesman, and everyone can leverage social media. The difference is how you do it.
Yeah, really well said. Now, these are all great philosophies that you use, right? And I mean, I'm really impressed with what you're doing because not a lot of salespeople even talk with the same vernacular that you're using. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
What does that translate to? Let's just cut to the chase. What does that translate to in terms of,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah. So
the money?
before I worked at before I worked at my current job, Bullhorn, I was still a recruiter, and in the last 2 years before I joined Bullhorn, I managed to schedule about 300 new business appointments each year, 2 years in a row.
Basically through social selling.
Through social selling, yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
So basically you're averaging, if my math is correct, you are averaging 25, which is more than one per business day. So you were essentially averaging one net new business appointment every single day using social selling. in addition to
Yes.
your kind of traditional sales efforts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a huge cold calling fan. I mean, of course, not in the beginning, but as you're doing it more often, you get used to it. You know your tricks. You know the things that work, what doesn't work. And well, let's just face it. Social media makes a cold call less cold.
Yeah, absolutely well said. So these are some great statistics around appointments. Of course,
Yeah.
appointments drives massive pipeline growth. At least the
Yeah.
law of
Absolutely.
probability would suggest, right? And that obviously
Yeah.
has an impact on your revenue. So let's
Yeah.
talk present day, right? Let's talk
Yeah.
present day. I don't want you to give away too much information, but in terms
Sure.
of where do you stack with, and not to put anyone else on the spot, but where do you stack on your team or in your overall EMEA region with your company?
Okay, so if you look at our 2013 performance, I finished on the top, being number one with, over 200% above quota,
Wow,
on quota, I mean, yeah,
that's incredible. So essentially, over 200% of plan, you're stacked number one in the territory or the region rather in your company.
yeah.
So Yella, I guess the natural question is, what's next? What are you going to do with social selling next?
Hit 200% at least this year again.
I love that answer. Yeah, once you hit the
Yeah,
growth, you got to hit it again. Um,
yeah, absolutely. And in sales, you just get addicted into hitting quotas and overachieving, of course.
yeah, of course, of course. Now, one last question for you. There's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of sales professionals watching this, and
Yes.
they're wondering this guy's drinking some special juice and he's got some magical powers that I don't. He's probably doing something. He's oversimplifying it. What words of wisdom and motivation? Because you're a young guy yourself, right? So, what words
Yeah.
of wisdom and motivation can you leave people, salespeople, in order to just start the social selling journey?
Okay, well, first of all, indeed, just start doing it, but think about how do you want people to see you? How do you want to build a relationship with your clients? What do they want to see from you? Start by building a social profile of yourself. I mean, you don't have to show everything that you show with your friends, but start building a social profile of yourself that people can identify with and can recognize you and your personal input on that. So make it personal and make people identify with yourself.
Good advice. Yali, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. I wish you
Thank you
continued
too.
success. When you blow out 300% for the coming year, let me know and we'll be sure to do another catch up interview, okay?
Absolutely. I'll do
Thanks,
my best.
thanks for your time, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers.